Hello all. Hope you all are enjoying and studying very hard. Sometimes we feel that our life is so hectic, no? Other people might have thought that their lives are so hectic, it's so weary, it's so exhausted. And of course, during this kind of feeling, everyone wants to go back to his childhood. So here, I am Reena Mishra from SJEC, wants to take you all to the childhood of the poet Thomas Hood. And in this poem, I remember, he wants to go back to his old house, to his childhood. He wants to live again a carefree life. As he feels that he is approaching towards death and time has gone. So he is literally very, very upset. He has lost his brother. Before I explain you the poem, let me tell you something about the poet, of course. My dear students, this poem, I remember, is composed by Thomas Hood. Mr. Hood was a British poet and a writer of humorous prose. He was a renowned poet of 19th century. He started his career by writing articles and magazines. And later on, he became the editor of a magazine. And he himself started a magazine in his own name, to which he was a sole contributor. Although he is remembered for his writings, he was a talented engraver and illustrated several of his own works. In this poem, he displays a weariness of a man who wants to escape from his routine life. A man who still remembers of his dead brother. He wants to go back to his old house. My dear students, the poem I remember is dedicated to the nostalgic embrace of the memory of childhood. Hood idolizes his childish ignorance, painting his memories with beautiful color and images. Hood's childhood was a time of great happiness, one which he is well aware that he can't return to. This poem grapples equally with the idealization of childhood and the sorrow that it must end. When we go through this poem, we feel that this poem is one of the best literary pieces known for its themes of childhood and recollections of joys. This poem was first published in 1844. In this poem, the poet recalls his childhood memories and compares his childhood joys with his gloomy present. This poem deals with the wonder of life through childhood memories. Now let me explain this poem. First we will read the poem, okay? We will recite the poem this way. I remember the house where I was born, the little window where the sun came peeping in at noon. He never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day. But now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. In this first stanza, the poet explains that he remembers the house where he was born. He remembers the house, a house with a little window where the sun usually came with its rays. Now, in the next line, he remembers his dead brother. Actually, his brother had passed away, so here he recalls him and he says, he never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day. He claims that his brother, his dead brother, who also accompanied him to this house, now is nowhere else. Now he would not come to him for a second. Never came a wink too soon means was always on time. He says that his brother was always on time with him, nor brought too long a day. And he always remains with him throughout the day. But now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. He says that but now when his life is totally exhausted, when he is not very easy with his life, with his routine life, so he wants to state that he often wishes that the night had borne my breath away, that he often wishes that he could die at the night he could die at the night, at the time when he was recalling his childhood memories, his brother. He doesn't want to die in the daylight, when he was busy with his routine work, when he was busy with his present exhausted life. He always wants to die at the night while remembering his childhood memories, his dead brother, his house. He's totally disappointed with his routine life. He doesn't want to go anymore. Now, in the next para, he says, I remember, the roses red and white, the violets and lily cups, those flowers made of light. The lilacs were where the robin built, and where my brother said, the Lebanon on his birthday, the tree is living yet. Now, in the second stanza, the poet reminds his past days with his brother at the same house where they both would play together. He says that I remember, the roses red and white, the violets and lily cups, those flowers made of light. He says he still remembers the roses which were red and white, the violets flower, the lily cups, and all those flowers. Those are extremely beautiful, and they both played together among us these flowers. He says that the lilacs where the robin built and where my brother sat. He says that he still remembers the lilacs where the rabbits built their houses, small holes to live, and where his brother set the laburnum on his birthday, the tree is living it, and the place where his brother has planted a tree, laburnum tree, and the tree is still there. Everything is still there in his mind. He wants to enjoy all the memory again. He wants to enjoy all the past days again. The time is running on. He wants to catch, but he could not catch. He says that his brother has planted a laburnum tree on the occasion of his birthday, and the tree is still there on his courtyard. And seeing that tree, he reminds his dead brother. He wants to call his brother back, but he is helpless. In the third stanza, he says, I remember, where I was used to swing, and thought the air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wings. My spirit flew in feathers then, that is so heavy now, and summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. He says, I remember, where I was used to swing. He says that he still remembers. He still remembers the place where he would swing, where he would swing his brother carefree. And he still thought, he was still thinking of the air, which was as fresh as usual. He says that was the time when my spirit flew in feathers then. He said that it was the time when he felt joyous at the smallest things. The higher, bigger, smaller, larger things don't matter to him. He could really feel joyous at the smallest of the things. But now, the circumstances have changed. He says, that is so heavy now. But now, the smallest things has become too heavy for him. He could not feel joyous on every smallest thing. He had he had wasted his life gaining and achieving everything, but he could not get the same joys that he was getting at his childhood. So he was very helpless. He says, and summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. He says that when he was at this age, when he is about to die and he had wasted all his time, the summer pools would not made him realize his coolness. He says that the water, when I was very young, then the water of the pool was very cool and chill, and he and his brother both swam across that. But now, as he was growing up and he is approaching towards the death, this pool could hardly cool for him. He could not realize his coolness. He could not realize its calmness, coolness, its beauty, its relaxation. Everything is gone now. He says, I remember the fir trees dark and high. I used to think their slender tops were close against the sky. It was a childish ignorance, but now this little joy to know that I am farther off from heaven than when I was a boy. He says, I remember the fir trees dark and high. He says that he still remembers the high and dark fir trees. And on that fir trees, he would climb and sit on the top of the tree and used to think from that tree. And the branches of the tree were very close to the sky. And whenever he would climb on that tree, he would be very happy, very, very happy, as he was thinking that he could reach easily to the sky, as his branches were very near to the sky. And he also claims that it was just a childish ignorance. But now, this little joy to know that I am farther from heaven than when I was a boy. But now, he starts to realize that now this little joy to know that I am farther from heaven. But this little joy has gone off my hand, gone off his hands. And he says that he knows it very well that he is not very innocent. He has committed lot of sins. He has become sinful than he was at the time when he was a boy. He has changed now. He says that when he was a boy, he was very innocent, very lovely. But now, when he has grown up, he has committed many sins and his innocence has gone to him forever and forever. Dear students, as I told you before that this poem is one of the best literary pieces which contains the themes of childhood and recollection of joys. This poem was first published in 1844. Actually, in this poem, the poet compares his present life with his childhood life. Here, this poem deals with the surprising nature of life through the childhood memory. And let me tell you one more thing. As I told you earlier, that this poem grapples equally with the idealization of childhood and the sorrow that it must end. He says that he still remembers the house where he was born. He says that he still remembers the little window of the house through which the sunlight came peeping. He felt anguish when he remembers his brother, his dead brother. He says that he knows that he could not get his brother back. But his brother is still in his mind with him. His brother has gone too far from him that he never comes to him for a second. But he was always on time. He remembers the flowers. He remembers the flowers with which he and his brother would play. He says that he remembers the roses, the red and white roses, the violets, the lily cups. All the flowers, those are extremely beautiful. He says that he remembers the lilacs where rabbits built their house. He says that he still can see the tree which was planted by his brother on the occasion of his birthday, and that tree is still on his courtyard. And this tree reminds him to his brother, his dead brother. He was missing him deeply. He says that he remembers the place where he used to swing. And he always was thinking of the air, which was very fresh. He says that I could not feel the joys that I felt at the smallest of the things when I was a child. The circumstances now have changed totally. He was very carefree. He was very relaxed when he was a boy, when he was very young, when he was very carefree. But now he has become exhausted. He has become panic. He says that the water that feel him very cool now has lost its charm. He says that he remembers the dark and high fir trees. He says that on that tree he uses to climb on, and he sat on that and would think, and it was just a child ignorance for him. But now when he was a boy, this all innocence has gone. He says that now he has grown up and he is very far away from his innocence. Now, my dear students, this poem has an end. with an element, with an, with an suffering element, which the poet feels here. So, I'm going to end my poem with this. We'll be meeting with our next chapter. Till then, goodbye.